SK Hynix Chairman Che says that we're open to more investments into the US in the CNBC interview. SK Chairman Che says we're open to more investments, including building chips on US soil. SK Chairman Che says that we're not seeing any shrink in size of demand for HBM.
Yep. Yep. All right, there should be sound on YouTube now. So basically, just a little short recap. Very clear absorption spotted on ES with Russell weakness. You never really want to be longing an open if Russell's pushing in the opposite direction. We're now seeing follow through, right, where the rest of the market is following that idea, but very clear absorption spotted highs. Our POC from Globex shifted as resistance, like we just talked about from this bounce. We're watching to see if we get below previous day value high here. This is your next level of interest. If we do, right, we will be looking for a reversion to VWAP for a seeking of liquidity, right, and fair value before we can go higher. We should expect a bid here at previous day value high short term. Makes sense. This is where demand was last. But if this can't hold and we can't get back over from this 94, we will head down to this 88, most likely. This 88 to 89 area. That's where that VWAP sits. VWAP is your volume weighted average price. So it makes sense that that would be an area of liquidity and where people would be looking to buy that dip. So we were watching to see if 94 holds. If it holds, great. If we can get back above POC here, great. Then we can look back up. We're not bullish until breach of this absorption high with Russell finding a low. That's the key. We are in a downtrend until Russell stops selling. And that would be a reversion back up to VWAP, right? If it does happen. Good bounce so far. Watching to see what we do here into 90, what is this, 99? This is POC. Sorry about that. No sound on YouTube, boys. Should be good now. Okay. Buy side trying to flip the 600, 599, whatever you want to call it. This is where sellers are trying to move down. So from that 602, they're now trying to move down the offer a little bit more for another lower high. You can see that pretty clear downtrend, right? They're just trying to hold lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, channeling us down. Again, the key pivot here is that flip of our 94s, or that very clear sustained back
Hinning's
above.
chairman says
I'm
its
seeing
China
some
chip
absorption here
factories
now.
export more than 70% of their chips outside of the nation, mainly the US.
Into our previous day value here. Watching to see if we flip or not. ES rejected our 910s, our POC at our VWAP. Sorry, our NQ rejected our POC as well at 910, and we're at our VWAP and our value low here. We're watching to see if this is able to continue to find that bid, or if this is going to have to come down to 820s. So far, just holding balance, but showing a little weakness. We're watching to see if this shift of POC here at 860 is enough to hold that supportive demand at our lows here with ES, or if we're going to have to come down another leg for another 30 points first. Watching now. You can see buyers trying on footprint here into this low. As long as that's maintaining, we're okay. But if they can't get us back above this value here, previous day POC, then we should expect that we will be starting to do that downwards rotation towards previous day value low, right, off this failure. So we're watching to see if we come back up, this sellers initiate here again, right, and then step us down below for a flip of VWAP. And then that would lead us down, right, to that as our first target if we, fail here, for example, and then flip that. We're just watching to see, right? Like that's the interaction that we're doing right now. You can see that initiative bid that stepped in at VWAP just like we were looking for. We just need to see if this is going to do anything with that, or if the sellers up here are going to hold the line and then rotate us down. Right, so like let's say we look in here, we don't show really any desire here into our previous day POC. We're watching basically this to then step down and then try to aggressively sweep below this little buying node here for that continuation below VWAP. And that gives you your shift, right? That failure, that lack of desire, that rotation through. That's what we're talking about here. So we're keeping an eye on it. Let's see what they do. I'm just trying to walk you through the price here. Bid trying to step above, holding our pivot. Russell finding a bit of a low. Watching our halfway back retest. As long as that has momentum, there's potential. If we lose momentum here, right, then we'll go for another down leg. Good hold of our lows so far. Good rotation of value here on NQ from a hold of our low. Back to our absorption high. We have 30 seconds until new 15s. This will be where we figure out which way we want to go, I think. So far, just in a balanced rotation. Again, just PVZ to PVZ, right? Value to value. We're watching to see how we initiate in here, like we talked about. If we flip below, or if this can flip above. We are trading between previous day value high and previous day POC on NQ. Just watching as we make our new 15-minute candle here, 10 seconds. Into our absorption here, same resistance, same everything. Gotta flip this for more, or it doesn't matter. Retesting our POC, following our pathing now. Into our new 15s with Russell at our rejection point. Watching to see if we put in a higher low here. Again, still just a balanced rotation. You guys want to see something that I'm working on? Check this out.
Trump on True
We
Social
look for a
says
bid
that
here.
Iran has asked us to continue talks. We've agreed to do so. But the US has stated to them in no uncertain terms that the ceasefire is over.
The ceasefire is over. Holy shit. Watch. This is our full value rotation. We'll watch this 55s here.
Seeing downside movement from the S&P 500, upside movement from the Dixie. Again, Trump says we have agreed to continue Iran talks. Also said that we have that, but the US has stated to them in no uncertain terms that the ceasefire is over.
55 holding, just rotating through yesterday's value here after that failure and absorption at our highs. We should get a rotation to 84 would be my assumption. Watching. We're just in this rotation here. Sell side sitting at
seeing the
84,
S&P 500 and
85.
Nasdaq 100 quickly
Russell,
turning
another down
negative
leg.
to hit session lows. As Trump on True Social
Watch
says, the
NQ
US
into
has stated
60.
to them in no uncertain terms that the ceasefire is over. But we have agreed to Iran talks.
You've got absorption 60 to 90. We're watching on NQ. Ours on ES.
Also did see
Sorry,
a wick up
yeah,
on
yeah.
the WTI off the back of the headlines.
I'm out a few here from our 55 lows into POC to value. This is a retest here, just a sell from. This is just we're just retracing yesterday's value. So this is now our big pivot into 87. Should be our first risk off of our value low, and now we watch to see which way we go from here. I would assume that we're going to go down, but we'll see soon.
Seeing Stoxx 600 index falling as much as 0.3%.
Just start pathing in play, right? Absorption held into news. Russell leads down, watching our lows here. Are we still able to maintain, or does this flip? We're fine, and this market is still balanced until we hold below previous day value low, right? But I would expect that sell side will try to maintain that low, and they will try to hold a lower high. If they can't get us below this wick low, though, we have a very strong chance to punish these participants here and actually take out highs instead if there isn't a lower high that gets put in here. If we take out highs whatsoever, again, it actually has the opposite effect because then there will be a net sell that's offsides at the low, right? Look at this wick. So really important that we see this lower high and this offer.
Treasuries falling as
here.
oil jumps after Trump says the ceasefire is over.
So watching now, what we're gonna do. I gotta delete pathing so I can move our ES chart down, but this played to a T. No upside ability until we can get above this absorption here. VWAP held resistance, Russell held resistance. News was a bit more violent, of course, than we wanted, but we are now looking to see what we do into our halfway back. Okay, I gotta move this so that we have levels. Again, this wick is insane. We just went right to our weekly AVWAP there and bounced immediately at that 55 and then rotated right back up, retracing all of yesterday's value. But what matters is that we maintained yesterday's value, right? That's the important thing here is this is yesterday's value. We held our lows and we're now rotating into our highs, right? So our pivot is pretty clear. Our pivot is very clear. We are watching now to see from this point, do they now try to hold this and then offer us back down? Or can we get back above and then bid and flip and push like this? This is our really important reoffer here on ES if we're going to hold the lower high. This is our VWAP flip at 90. Watching to see if we hold this now. This is yesterday's POC to our 95. 90.95 is really where we want to see them try to defend and then push us down back below, I don't know, 78 if they're going to do it. If not, right, we're just going to get back into yesterday's value. So again, all we care about here is, are we now within yesterday's structure, right? As long as we're maintaining this edge, then we have the potential to retrace through. If they fail here, then we look for this bid back above, and then we actually take out highs instead because we punished the lows. This is incredibly important to let us know which way we're going to go here. Testing our value high now from yesterday, 95s. Watching to see if we put that lower high in. This is value low of today's auction and value high of yesterday's auction. We have fully traversed the range. Taking off 2 more here on MES. Now just keeping our eye on what we're going to do from here. You can see that same logic on NQ where we are. Held previous day value low, just like we talked about, how we were going to test down there, where we were going to head, right? We just tested that previous day value low off that failure. Found liquidity immediately, took out that London low, immediately bounced off of both. Now, again, we're watching to see if this lower high can maintain. Can we maintain that sell sweep that just pushed us down for that lower high? This is what the market is trying to tell us now. We are watching. We want to see if Russell's going to have that weakness or not. Does this move have follow through? That is all that matters. Yeah, ceasefire over. But there was also like very clear absorption into our highs on ES. From at 602 to 607. Shitload of effort. And then a pretty dramatic sweep below. But yes, Iran ceasefire over. We're watching to see what these guys do here. They're trying to initiate again, but I don't know, man. We're not getting the follow through that we need. So we're either going to be headline driven here, and we're going to trap, or we're going to fully retrace this if there's not the follow through we need. You can see value trying to step up again, right? With our value low, now trying here, which would just be a reversion back up to 600, 602, where that original seller was. So I'm watching to see if they're going to continue to maintain these higher lows here and then rotate this, or if we trap here and then can head back down or trigger below 80s for a rotation back to like 65s on ES at least. And then one more leg down to 50s to retest that wick low if we can't get over this. This is where I'm really keeping my eye on it. But this bid is just desperately trying here. Holy. I think they want it. Again, like there's just that lack of initiation here so far. Just a very clear higher low. Delta is going crazy right now with the effort. You can see that on our 15 with this new high. On our cumulative. They're trying to buy this here for a rotation back through yesterday's value. They just took in a decent amount of lots there into 94 on ES. They're trying to absorb here into 94s. We're watching to see if they can defend this 90-92 on the bid and then flip 94 for upside, or if this 90-92 goes offer from this 94 seller who's taking in size here. $90 taken, that liquidity there. Trying to flip for 94, still holding offer. I've been averaging 2.5 hours of sleep this week per day. I am an actual zombie. Oh. I don't know. I've got a doctor's appointment on Monday. I'm on new meds, or I'm changing my ratios of like my Adderall and whatnot from like a extended release into an extended release from just like the instant, and like it's definitely affecting my sleep quite a bit. I don't know what's happening though. Sucks. but it's very rough. Hopefully my doctor will be able to help me on Monday. But right now I am miserable trying to manage. Sell side trying here from our 94, now trying to rotate down to our 90. Again, the key is them sweeping below our 90s and then offering our settle from yesterday. If we're going to go down, just like we talked about. 94 absorption happening. They're trying to sweep and then rotate us back down to 80. The buyers are trying to defend this 90 and to get us over this 94 for rotations back up to 600. This is just the pivot for right now. For NQ enjoyers, got to get over this 920 for anything real. And then we just retest highs. Failure here is just going to come down into this liquidity again. This is previous day POC, where we're trying to bid right now. You can see them trying to take in size here. It's the same setup on NQ. This FBD here is a failed breakdown, and it's ranked A+. That's this level here where we've found this liquidity. Again, we still need to flip this on NQ at our 920, and we need to flip over this 94 in bid. We're attempting that now. You can see buy side trying to step above. If we do that, we're able to head back up to that 600, 602. If we can see that bid step in here, they're going to try to rotate us back up. This is our automated footprint that we're getting that signal off of here. There's your rotation. We're watching to now see if we can hold. We're seeing NQ buyers taking in size there. We're watching for a higher low, ideally at 890, 880 on NQ, as ES retests this 94 is supportive if we're going to hold. Big test here. Can we see a higher low? Can we see Russell interaction? Is there going to be a hold? Or is this going to be an exhaustive look above, fail, and then rotation through, trapping these buyers above? That's what we ask ourselves now. Testing. Good bid so far. 94s. Got to step above though. Got to keep pushing. My stop now sits at 91 on my runners. on ES. We need to show more interest. Russell still no movement, flat. It's not giving us a ton of confidence here. Again, we know that there's huge absorption above us. We're just watching to see if they can maintain the higher low. That's the most important thing. NQ, no movement, flat at our pivot. NQ starting to lead down weakness-wise. Bid still trying at 94s on ES, no change. I'd like to at least see 600 get tagged. But we might, 99 might be the high instead. I don't know, we'll see what they do here. The issue is that NQ leading down, we have all of this buy side liquidity above that might fail here. And then we just look for the secondary to step in below. It's just two-sided at this 94 while we wait. I'm stopped on runners below 90.75 on ES on my long. Bid still trying at 94. That 90.75 is just break even for me. I'm stopped there for right now until we have a clearer move. I might get I've just been wicked out. It's okay though. I'll wait. I need to see us like push above and very clearly hold, or push below previous day value, and then I'll play the other side. But I don't want to get trapped here. The reason why I have to be a little bit more careful is that I moved my average up quite a bit. Right, this is we're from our lows here, and then I'm trying to initiate here at this 94 to 90. So if we step below, right, we're going to follow my pathing, and then we'll be looking for that downside leg down to like this low. So really important for me to take off risk if this is going to fail. Watching, because if the sell side wants to push from these guys that are trapped here, we will rotate down. I'm watching to see if we do that now. Just took initial size into this flip below settle. Watching our retest. NQ into first target here, following pathing. Has to get below this 10, this 800, 810, and hold it as offer, or this is a potential bounce, a fade, an edge. This will determine if what our retest does here into our 88 to like 91 is where we look for that offer on ES as we retest this, with NQ finding a bit of a bounce into 54s. Again, we're watching to see if sell side will now hold previous day value here at like this 91 to 88. Just look at the POC of our candle here. right? We've already highlighted where that liquidity would be and where we want to see that initiation try to hold for rotations through. Got to get below this on NQ for more, or we will rotate back up to previous day POC here. Right, we're just balanced between these two areas. Are you guys able to follow the 15-minute with the structure that I'm drawing, or is this kind of confusing still for you? Are you is it too hard without seeing like the lower time frame candles?
SK chairman says SK could focus on memory as a service in the future.
I'm trying to draw the intra price action on the 15-minute so you can just see the footprint with our larger levels, so you have an understanding of where follow through needs to take place. To me, this is a much more actionable plan, but I could understand that this could be confusing. So please let me know. New 15s here, 20 seconds. We're watching to see if we open below POC to value on this new 15-minute candle, right? Very clear that that's where our offer sits, where we drew it, right? Previous day value low is also our current candle's value low to POC. This becomes our zone where we watch for that reoffer for a rotation down.
Fed says elevated inflation in part
see?
reflects supply shocks.
Watching
Is
the
labor
same
market
thing on
broadly
NQ.
stable? Productivity strong. Prepared to
Gotta
use
flip
full range of
this.
tools to achieve dual goals. Some inflation measures, including trimmed mean, have declined.
This is my first
The
risk
Federal
off here
Reserve
into
is
81
releasing semi-annual monetary policy report.
into our lows.
Fed reiterates commitment to price stability.
Took my first
Fed
risk
also
off
says
there.
that activity in housing market has been stagnant. Strong factory output driven by data center investment tied to AI and US productive capacity rising at solid pace. Also saying that foreign economic activity growth was subdued in the first half of the year from headwinds from Middle East conflict and the US tariffs, partially offset by AI investment. Bank reserves remain in ample range amid reserve management buying.
Holding our lows so far. Again, need to see NQ hold this this edge below our 800, 820 for more. We're really watching to see if they'll defend our value of previous candle. Same thing on ES. Value of previous candle needs to be defended, and then we need to push below this, and then we get one more leg down. Failure to do so is just a sustain of that, and we get no retracement of our news candle. Really need to see this get defended. We need to see this shift on NQ. Incredibly important. Sell side trying to start initiating here at this 800. They're trying to flip it. No ability to sweep below as of yet, but they are trying to move this offer down. So far being absorbed. I don't think it's going to hold. First initial sweep here on NQ at that 800. Again, we're just talking about that 800, 820. They're trying to step it down now off of our hold following our pathing. NQ again just into ES into our target. Got to flip below this 78 for more. This was our first risk off. We're watching to see if we can flip this low at this 78, 76, or if this continues to maintain. We flipped this higher low that we found where these initiative bids tried on the lower time frame here. Then we're going to retrace the full candle. Until then, right, this is where they will continue to try to
Seeing
bid.
Meta shares the highest since April, last up nearly 6%.
Watching our retest. They're still taking. Russell flat. It's very hard to get the movement that we want in the follow through without the Russell following with NQ here. I think NQ leads though. Testing our 800 participant again. They're trying to defend 800, 820, moving stepping us down. Taking off a little bit more here on ES as we test that low. I'd love to see full follow through, but I need to see a bit more aggressive sweeping at this low. I need to see Russell move with it. That's the ideal. So we're just risking off because of that lack of follow through so far. And now I'm just leaving runners. I'm out half of my position. So now this is free just in case we fully pop back up off of a exhaustive move here. No initiation below, right? Just want to make sure that I'm maintaining that. My stop sits at 91 on my runners while we wait to see what they're going to do here. But with that lack of follow through at our PT here, it's a bit rough because we're just trapped between previous day value low and our current buyer here at this 78.
We have posted out the link for the Fed semi-annual report on the feed for you to read through.
This is our ETH VWAP test here into 870 on NQ, as well as ES at our 91. Watching to see what they do interaction wise. This is where we offered last into this 90 to 94. We step over 94s and bid. That's bullish, not bearish in my opinion. Hold here, then there's no change, just another offer. No initiation below, right? Just like our footprint suggested. Without a initiative offer below this and Russell follow through, we are getting rotation instead of follow through at our first PT. So that makes complete sense based off of what we thought would happen, right? Without that follow through below this key level, we have to risk off into known liquidity. And we are now watching to see if we are going to get the full rotation back up to this initial absorption at 602, 607, or if we are just going to maintain this 94 to 79 right now, and this is our rotation for the meantime. I don't have an answer for you yet, but I would expect that this is kind of the structure that we're in for right now, something like this, where we'll just rotate until we figure out what we want to do. I'm going to turn these off real quick, and then I'm going to switch over to our smaller time frame so you can see what I'm talking about in a little bit more clarity if you don't have these charts on yourself. So from our lows, right, we held value. This is why it became our risk off, where we need to see that flip. Do you see how buyers were able to maintain this low and trap sellers into this? We had a failure to shift below this 800, 820. And instead, we've trapped this POC in the lows, and now we're rotating back up through this candle because this guy is now offsides. We lacked the initiation at our low. It's the same thing on ES, right? We bounced our reversion zone, and we were rotating back up because we are showing balance instead of trend, right? This is why this is our first risk off here. It is our reversion zone off our indicator, and it's the hold of this low. We need to now watch to see if we're going to hold and recover this PVC value here and bid for rotations back up to our 602 like we talked about, or if this is going to trap and then hold and then rotate through. I don't have an answer yet. I don't know, because what this is a retest of our main seller. Do you see that where my mouse is? So until we flip over this, I don't have great context, because this is just a retest of this participant here from our bid at our low. Now, can we put in a higher low? If we do, we rotate up, right? If we fail to sustain this higher low, then we trap and then we take out these lows. That's basically the thought process here. And you can see that as well off of what we are looking for, right? Like a failure to actually sustain the higher low here is going to result in the same thing. Here's that level visualized, right? POC to value of that candle. This is where NQ needs to show a supportive push and an ability to push through this and then flip it. Russell holding our low pivot, no change. It's very hard to get that continuation momentum that you want for a breakdown without Russell participating. And again, for ES, it's the same thing where it's like, can NQ and ES hold this higher low above previous structure, right? And maintain here for this pop and to rotate back through? Or does this trap, do we offer back through? We'll take out lows because then this liquidity will be trapped here. So it's literally just a if-then situation. If we hold, we rotate PT1, PT2. If this looks below, we take out lows, and then we look for something like this, right? Because we've recovered that edge. That's all this is. PT1, PT2. Always just like think about everything into like these if-thens with our zones, how we've separated them. It just makes your life so much easier. What do we need to see happen, right? Like that's what you tell yourself. Where was value found last? Were we able to shift value? If the answer is no, we failed to shift value, then we rotate through value. That is a rule of the auction. Failure to shift, right? We've trapped then at the lows, then we will rotate through the known auction. That's PT1 here, off of our flip. And again, this isn't a new concept. This is literally
See here that the US gives
PVZ in
UAE
play,
enhanced favorable treatment for export controls.
right? This is us bouncing off our reversion zone, recovering our PVZ value low, rotating through value, just like we talked about. That is a law of PVZ and of volume profiles in general. Recovery of value equals rotation through value. Failure to shift our auction is then a rotation and punishment of the other side. Into our absorption here again on ES. This is secondary target on ES. I'm going to go back to our pathing. Oh no, oh no, it did the thing. Okay, we're good. Just gotta move. There we go. Hold of our lows, flip of our level, bid stepped in, rotation up to our absorption. That's your stop out from our failed breakdown. And now push over into our absorption high on both NQ and ES into target. You can see that now. We're trying to retest here at our 920. This is that pathing here. We're watching to see if they can hold the flip. Does this make sense now that you've seen it play out of what we're watching for in these rotations? Why this is so important? How we just transact and rotate through value if we fail to shift value, right? You just get that natural reaction to go to the other side of the auction, right? Because all we did was show that this auction is still valid by failing to rotate below it. So we just rotate back up through the auction, right? We have a very clear range where price is willing to trade. So if there isn't enough willing participants to transact below here, then we've shown that this is fair value between these two levels, right? And so as soon as we recover this previous day value low, we're then looking to then transact through value. That is just the natural state in an auction. But something exciting, if these concepts are still confusing to you guys, is something that I've been working on, which is a state engine. Check this out.
So the US posts notice of UE export terms in Federal Register.
There's going to be a, let me turn this off. This is not, I just want to show you the potential for this. It's going to show you the open type. It's going to show you the open type in a setup form. It'll show you the shape of the profile. It will give you a playbook based off of what we're currently doing and what to be looking for. How to be approaching the market at any given time so that you basically open your chart and then know what we're doing based off of where we opened from yesterday's auction and where we are today. That's the idea. Basically
So the US is to allow UE to receive advanced computing items license free.
incredibly important here. Again, all we've done is show zero interest below yesterday's value low at our pivot where we took our longs at 55 and then rotate through, and we're now trying to battle for this value high from yesterday. If we can sustain here and look above, then we go up. Got to get through this guy. That's what our current battle is right now. So again, just full rotation of our PVZ off of our higher low hold, like we talked about, rotation to value high from our value low recovery. Now just watching to see if we can sustain push above value high for expansion, or if we're going to continue to just auction between this value high and this value low. We know that there's very clear absorption here at 600 to 607 on ES. I need to see us breach and hold for me to feel comfortable doing anything more. We've already talked about this. That is the state, right? It just is what it is. Again, very clear that there's someone trying to take in size into this area. I need to see us flip, show interest, bid, or we will take in size, offer, rotate, value. We've done the full rotation based off of what we were watching for, right? Oops. Attempting PVZ value high here on ES. We're trying to maintain here outside of value. You can see them on the 15-minute footprint, attempting outside of value, as well as our value high PVZ test here at our 604s. NQ attempting to bid and hold this 50 to 60, pushing off of that. ES now also trying to get an initiative bid. They're trying to step up here over 607, but they're still willing to take in size. See if they can initiate like NQ is attempting now. Trump said the ceasefire with Iran was over at 10:30. It's also the IB, but you know, that was that news candle. But there was no follow through on it, so we just rotated back through balance as soon as there was no initiation lower. We're now trying to flag above previous absorption here into highs, just watching to see how we build. As long as NQ's able to sustain like this 950, 960, there's potential for upside. But if that flips, then all these guys are trapped above. We'll retest now into 950, 960, I think. ES, no change as long as we're maintaining this like 600, 60, 605 area. Just trying to flag above, but if this fails, then we'll step back below and then re-offer it. I think that's a great plan. At least take off some of your initial risk with that. If we get this halfway back hold to your own Russell, that'll be where the bid steps in, and then that'll give you your view up test, I would assume. If not, then again, like it's just going to be an exhaustive rally that fails to push above right our absorption here, and then all these guys will be trapped, and then we will do a lower high and then rotate down. Testing into POC of previous candle here. Our 607 absorption still holding. Testing our 600 now to see if we're going to be able to maintain this. Or sorry, not 6. Yeah, 600. Right, this is where we watch to see if this bid is here into this like 98 to 600, and if they're going to initiate with NQ buyers at this 50 to 60 as Russell retests our value edge. This either becomes our trap or it'll become where that bid initiates. It depends on how quick this reaction is. NQ will help us with Russell. Again, we're watching to see if Russell's able to bid, pop, push. If ES is able to maintain here, if NQ is able to maintain here. As long as these are maintaining, we're in an okay spot. If these fail, then we're going to be looking for that lower high and that initiation back through value then. Maintaining so far. NQ much more responsive so far.
SK Hynix American Depository shares open at $170 versus offering price of $149 in Nasdaq debut. And that SK Hynix opening 14% above offer price after $26.5 billion ADR sale.
This will be our test here. This is POC retest on daily. If we now put in that lower high on this reoffer, then these guys have failed to lift price. We're watching for this bid to now reject right into our 600s for that seller to then initiate back through if they're going to fail. We want to see active buyers step us back above and fail to sustain this lower high if we're going to go back up, right? Same thing with NQ here. We have to get below this 50 or this will be where that bid rests. Watching to see how they initiate here. Very important level. Offer trying to defend 60 here on retest after bouncing 50s. Sell side wants to get us below 50s after maintaining and defending 960. Bid wants us to defend 50s, right? Get us back above 60 and rebid. Watching to just see which way we break on this little auction. 60 offer held, absorbed, sweep below 50s, rotation should lead down to 888.90 here on NQ off of that failure. Same thing with ES following pathing, just back down to VWAPs. I'm taking off my first initial risk here on NQ at 910, but looking for 880, 890 for the fulfill on, yeah. We'll see what we do. Pretty clean rotation based off of our pathing though in both ES and NQ so far, with that inability to pop over that RTY. I've got to move my NQ 30-second, but we can't really do that yet. Out another set of 5 here on NQ into target, 880, 890. This is secondary target following our pathing. ES almost at full target as well following pathing. Into our VWAP, right? Just a reversion trade, boys. That's all this is. From our failure to establish above absorption, right? I have 4 contracts left from the 20 total that I had. I've taken off 16. This is NQ into a 30-second opening range at 850, my next target. Taking off another one and then just trailing it. I expect a bit of a bounce here at 830 to 810, but if we flip that, then we just go down. So this will be kind of our litmus test to let us know. I would expect a bounce here, 830, 810, a reoffer at 870, 890, and then we get a understanding of where we're headed after that. That's my guess. We'll see if that plays. This is full PT on ES for me. So I can now move levels now that our pathing is played out to a fucking T on ES. Beautiful trade. Same thing on NQ off of our failure there. Same area, right? I am now going to just delete these so I can move my NQ chart. I'll try to leave ES as is for the moment. But again, we should be looking for a responsive bid here and then look for 870, 890, I think, on NQ first for retest. Oops. This is our 30-second opening range, which is why we were looking for that bid. And now we watch to see what we do here. We've got some potential absorption into 870, 890. Yeah, we'll just watch this reoffer. Is VWAP now going to hold resistance? Basically, is the question we're asking. Now that we've rotated below it, right? Is this now a shift? Are we now seeing something like this where then they want to rotate us down? Or do we flip back above, bid, and then do the same balance rotation again off of another failure to establish? I don't have the answer. All we know is that Russell and Russell's flat and NQ and ES have now done full targets. So now it's up to sellers, right? Do they want to initiate further down, or do we want to do another rotation, right? Like that's the question. And we can't anticipate that we're going to expand until we show interest below. We have to anticipate that the auction remains the same until the state changes, right? So that's why we take off some of our risk and we let this thing play out.
I-24 news reporter on X says that citing or looking at satellite images, says that the aircraft carrier Lincoln and Bush are very close to the shores of Iran, within possible missile range from Iran.
Well, hopefully that gives us our next leg, but we'll see. Just for the sake of transparency, here is our short. Stopped out on failure over 60s, initiation below our 50s, taking a trade, stops at 60 then, and then rotation down to target, just like we had drawn on chart. Now watching to see if we offer here at our 878.90 like we talked about, just like we predicted, and we will see if we get the follow through that we need. We need to see a very initiative participant here, or it'll be a failure. And then we just do this fucking rotation again. So really important that we establish below value of our previous candle here. Or again, this is our 30-second opening range where I do not take trades on the short side. I'm not fading our 30-second opening range high. I will wait for us to get below our ORL and then take another trade. So again, I don't have it on chart, but it is this 850 to 810 is our 30-second opening range. I don't have it. It looks like this, right? I won't take a short until we push below this guy at 810. It just is a risk off until we prove that there's any sort of desire to trade below these participants. For me personally, I've gotten washed way too many times trying to fade that open. And it makes sense, right? Like if there isn't like you have to think of the open as where right our larger participants are rebalancing their books at the beginning of the session from Globex, right? So you have a lot of inventory being exchanged in the morning, a lot of volatility, a lot of volume, and right, like that open, that inventory, right, being realigned makes sense for why it's become such a strong pivot, is because you have all of these larger participants now able to actually, exchange the volume that they need to rebalance their books. And so those levels become very important based off of their, how they move their inventory. So it's like until we can push below, I expect that that's kind of where the bid EXE is, until proven otherwise. Personally, it's just like that's how I see it. It's the same thing with like VWAPs, right? Like it's just like if we're in a uptrend, right, in a bullish regime, then it makes more sense to be looking for a counter auction failure on VWAP retests, and then look for trap traders below that level, than trying to fade with them. Once we revert back, right? That's what I mean. It's fine to fade edges like this when we have very clear absorption, but once we get to an area where there's potential desire, right, in an uptrend, you don't fade until proven that we actually show interest below. Again, some of like the most a concept that I think is like really important for people to understand if they care about like order flow or auction market theory in general is like some of the most violent and some of the most confident continuations in trend are caused by a failure of the other side, right? That's like the entire premise of half of like our entire trading model, which is looking for trap participants, right? So when we're in a bullish auction, when we're in an uptrend, when we're holding above previous value or maintaining inside value, right, we're showing a desire to continue to bid where we are. So until we see that there's a desire to fade or to rotate outside of today's auction, right, in our overall auction, I'm gonna just show this again. This is where we are. Until we can see an ability to push below, right, yesterday's POC to value and actually rotate below it, we have to think that the only possible trade, right, is short fades at highs until proven otherwise, and failures at lows until proven otherwise. And that is a balanced trade in an uptrend. So the counter trend leg is actually a pullback where we look for the higher low, and then that gives us our continuation because then sell side's trapped at lows, right? Just like our until proven otherwise, and we push below our pivot, there isn't that secondary leg that we can play off of. You have to be taking off risk here until we show that there's that actual initiative desire, or you're more
Tim is going
likely
to expecting the
get
WASD data for corn and
squeezed
stocks
and
forecast
then rotated.
1,890 million, prior 1,960 million. Corn exports prior was 3,150 million. And soybean end stocks forecast 335 million, prior 310 million. Cotton end stocks forecast 3.75 million, prior 3.7 million. And corn end stocks forecast 1,889.5 million, prior 1,960 million.
So our playbook now is lower high and shift below 87s equals potential push down to 54s. Failure to establish below, rotation like this, higher low hold, and then rotation up equals probably move to 28s. That would be what I'd be looking for here. Right, just does balance maintain? Are we able to retest and then hold? We should then look up. If this guy fails and then we look below, then we're probably coming back down to these wick lows, right? Just either side of balance. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab some water. These screenshots are really helpful because for me, you seem to be getting in later on the move than I think you're executing on. I'm going to try and model that myself, my own execution. Yeah, man. I mean, like we have a anticipatory look, right? Like again, like my whole strategy and my whole idea whenever I'm looking at things is we have like we have to be building off of something, right? Like the entire premise is that we plan, right? We arm, and then we trigger. So like we have to, like, everything has to play out. We go through our checklist of what are we looking for? Is it happening? Are we seeing the secondary participants? Then we can initiate. There's no reason to play into a level unless we're like very confident and we have very tight risk on first test, because the potential for it to not play is really high, right? Because it's just like, oh, like it's gonna fade, and it's just like a predictive, like, throw in the wind. So like we need to see them initiate, and then we can anticipate where they're gonna go. As long as you remember, like, all we're looking for is if we fail at an auction edge and we fail to initiate outside of the auction, we will rotate through the auction, right? You don't need to have the perfect entry if you understand that we're trading balance, right? It's just fading the edges and then looking for the rotation through until the state changes. That's just like, that is a key law of auction market theory,
Seeing
right?
shares of Micron extending losses, last down about 2.9% as peer SK Hynix's US listed shares begin trading on NASDAQ.
Like we know where we're going to go. We know where value is established. And so like, could it fail? Yeah, for sure, right? But we have a clear invalidation and we have a clear understanding of what we're looking for and where we're looking for it. And so like the trigger doesn't have to be insane. It's just like we know what to expect. I don't know. This is why playbooking is so important, and why like recording your trades, so you have an understanding of like when you go back and you look at balance and be like, oh, I got caught off sides here, 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 here. Oh, I could have gotten a much better entry if I had waited for the higher low. Like, oh, okay, well now I know on the next time when this comes what to expect, and on the signs of when I'm right and when I'm wrong, right? Those are the things that are key, is understanding how on average trades play out. Not, because if you think that trades immediately respect levels, pop and go, right? Like that's not realistic. So you need to understand like what to look for inside areas and common things that happen. Like what's your average drawdown in a trade? What's your average time in trade? Like these are the things that are going to make you much less emotional about your position and stay in plays that are still valid, right? You have to understand your average MAE and MFE, right? Like you have to understand the draw. No one's perfect. And again, it's impossible to rate your setups by like A+, B+, C+, right? Like you can't rate your playbook and the quality of the play until you do that, because you don't understand the individual components that are actually driving your price and making things either a better trade or a worse trade, until you actually go back and you look. But like you reviewing my my trade, right, is what you should be doing to your own trade. Like you will be able to gather the same information that you just got by looking at my entry, by going back and analyzing some of your poor entries, right? And being like, oh yeah, like there was an initiative test where I could have gotten back in. Like I don't need to FOMO. And if there isn't that initiative test, I'm okay missing that move, right? Like that's something that I'm okay with, because I know that that I would have probably FOMO'd the other side of the edge if we didn't get that secondary test, right? Like I probably would have gotten chopped up. Like that's an okay observation to have. Be like, okay, like I missed this opportunity. There wasn't what I was looking for, and I was willing to not trade it because it didn't show exactly what I wanted. That's a good thing. If you're preventing yourself from taking a potentially bad trade, right, then you did good. That's just as important, right? Like you play your criteria, the things that are going to, keep you confident and keep you in the trades that matter.
1 minute ago now to get the Wheaton stocks data from WASD. 10 seconds. Wheat end stock 722 million, 722 million higher than forecast of 715 million. Soybean end stocks 310 million, lower than forecast of 335 million. Cotton end stocks 4.1 million, higher than forecast of 3.75 million. And corn end stocks 1,790 million, lower than the forecast of 1,889.5 million.
This is our 960, 950 here again. Initiative bid trying to step up. Sell side getting a little bit squeezed here off of that take at 65s we just saw. We're coming back up to our 990 where they absorbed last. Watching to see what we do. If this 50 to 60 can maintain on retest here, this is potentially promising. We're watching this retest now. Shit, my bad. I'm still on my... What's up, Adam? We're trying to see if we're going to initiate here. They're still absorbing into this this high NQ, and this is still our ES absorption. We really need to flip this for longs to be valid, but they are attempting. Again, very clear. We've got it labeled. Got to get over this for this to have validity. But they are attempting. NQ, I think, will be our leader. We want this 60 to 50 area to maintain bid. I have a small initial position on at 65, but I'm not trading size until we have confirmation, and then I'll pyramid in on the uptrend and pop. Yes, still no desire to pop. Need to see that. I'm taking up my first risk here from 65 into 90, where our last absorption was. And then watching to see if we can build above. If we can flip that, I will look to continue to add size above our POC to value of that candle. So far, sell made sense. Watching as we retest back. Bid holding. Again, need to flip over this 80 to 90 for more. Right, you can see us stopping out on the flip, and now we're watching this pivot to see if we're going to get more or if this absorption here is going to hold. So we took off initial risk on the look back into these highs, and until we can flip above that 90, we don't really have a trigger. We're just playing off of this bid that's here at our 50 to 60 with these big buying deltas on the flip. If that can hold, sweet, right? Then we have upside potential. If this fails, then this will then have trapped all this liquidity above again, and then we will look for the rotation back to VWAP, just like before. Russell's still flat, which is why the market isn't doing anything. It's Russell stale.
According to Fars News reporter citing a source close to the Iranian negotiating team, indicating that claims of an upcoming round of talks between Iran and the US next week are unfounded.
I can't believe we're in this news cycle again. Holy Jesus.
Also, the informed source being cited by Fars denied the reports about the finalization of preparations for negotiations in Islamabad, as well as the claim that technical talks would continue next week. Pakistani representative to the UN Security Council says that they urge Iran and the US to exercise
Big
restraint.
bid trying to step in here on NQ, trying to push this above. I took off another one just in case this fails, but huge buyer trying to step in here. Had our highs. See if we can get some follow through here. Hell yeah. We'll look above, see if we can maintain it. Really important that this initiative bid outside looks and continues to maintain here. This, if it comes back in and then traps on retest, is going to be incredibly punishing. So we want follow through here, not exhaustive buying. We want follow through. Very important. Watching our tail here on this current candle. Seeing where POC is, right? We want to see that continue to stay in those lows. We don't want to see it start to come up here into this high and then fade where POC was before, where then we have a potential trap on our hands. retesting this huge batch of buying that happened into 90 to 3,000 or 30,000, 990 to 30K. This is where we saw initiative bids try to pop us out. We'll see if they're now willing to defend this edge. If they are, it's a very good clue that we want to continue. If they fail and then we reoffer this area, it'll be a very good clue of a exhaustive bid that doesn't have what it needs to continue further. Yeah, our projected target is 629 on ES, and then 641, and then 657 for me, if we can flip this value high. We'll see if they'll do it. Super big pivot. What's the indicator to see the volume on a candle? Just like a footprint chart, you mean? Or are you talking about the bubbles? Took off my first risk here into 20 from our hold of our 30,000 for 20 points. Now that I've taken off initial risk, I'm just gonna let this play. Either it stops me out or we continue on our way, but I'm not gonna be too finicky about it. Let this build outside, as long as we're maintaining our edge here. No, nothing to do. I took off initial risk here into our highs from our hold here, right? So now just playing off this as our pivot.
AWS designated as critical third party to UK financial sector.
Sorry, I'm just moving this over so we have a bit more room for our candle. Another 20-point rotation off our hold of our key area. If you didn't take off on your first attempt, it just gave you another chance. Let's see if we can get the break here. NQ leading, ES lagging, Russell flat. Oh, sorry, man. If it makes you feel any better, it's probably not going to be great for the next couple hours until like 3 o'clock. I mean, maybe we'll get like an acceptance move here, but then I feel like it'll probably like staircase up if it actually sustains after we get this initial pop from the squeeze. That's why it's just like leave a runner, let it be, right, until it invalidates. Peace, man.
seeing shares of Nvidia rising 3.6%.
Look above and fail. I personally took off another on NQ there into the 30s. Now just trailing. There's nothing else to do. Just chill while we wait for ES lagging. You can either move it to break even now at 30,000 or keep your stop at that 89. There's nothing to do here other than just chill with profits. Until we have Russell and ES participation, it's going to be a pretty lackluster move. It is midday, boys.
Here, this is from my playbooks, you know.
At the top of the hour, we get the Baker's total recount data. Prior 580, oil recount prior 445.
I mean, it's nothing that it's just from, it's literally my entire playbook is just Dalton, Frothman, Vermin, and Smash, right? Like that's just, it's the confluence between those guys. Those are the books that I've already given you. It's just AMT with a little order flow on top. So it's nothing crazy. You use this kind of stuff as your basis, and then from there, right, you then break down what you're looking for. Right, so like AMT, it's like I can give you all of my AMT ideas, right? It's balance, breakout, imbalance, excess, structural, right? But like those are just definitions within the auction, right? You need to be able to then identify what like a good one is, what a bad one is, what they look like. Can you post those names of the authors? Or of what? Sorry, I said a lot. Yeah, the authors. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you join the Discord, I can just give you the books. But one second. The names are Dalton, right, for auction market theory. Forthman for order flow and auction market theory. Oh, you want me to write them down? Yeah, yeah.
Iran's Galabaf says recent conflict will never end with Iran's surrender.
Dalton, Forthman. Shit, how do I spell this guy's name? Vernon. Smash. There you go. There you go.
Five minutes ago, did we get the Baker Hughes total recount data with a prior of 580 or a recount prior of 445?
This book
Galabaf says Iran is ready for all-out defense if
really
Americans
good.
betray understanding.
This is like the
He's referring
basis
to the
for
memorandum of understanding.
90% of what the stuff that I talk about. It's just basically like this guy and Dalton. That's like the basis for everything. And then it's just like, you know, time. But I've already given those books. They're in chat. You can just look up that name. They're in our Discord for free. You don't even have to be a member. They're in like the general chat if you just like search by name. You just have to actually read. Which is something most people don't want to do. Here, if you just want like a basis for like a playbook, I can give you like some general rules that you can then build around. Yeah, Forthman, he's great. Here's some general rules. Just, I mean, it's all just AMT. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but general concepts. This is from my playbook, but you have to, it's not going to help you a ton until you understand what these words mean.
I'll be right back. Since 1998, wow. That's a lot of stress, man.
Surely expecting Baker Hughes data.
It's a lot of time in the market. Yeah. This is our full rotation of Russell into VWAP. We're watching to see if this flips or if this is a fade. Keep in mind that ES is now at our reversion zone. So if Russell fails to sustain over VWAP,
Just a heads up,
we could be
Iran's President Pezeshkian
potentially seeing a
and
rotation back
Prime
down
Minister
here,
of Pakistan
like this.
had a phone call discussion to discuss latest developments in the region.
If we don't
In
see
this,
an
Pakistan's
initiative
PM
bid here.
Sharif and Iran's President Pezeshkian, who have been speaking on the phone to discuss latest developments in the region. We'll see if there's anything else that's added to it. It's probably going to be a repeat of what's been said by the Pakistanis already to ask the Iranians to de-escalate the situation and return to talks.
Let's watch our LVN just to see if
Remind
we
as
can
well in
sustain
regards to when we do get headlines from Pakistan or Qatar talking about mediation efforts, that Trump has in his Truth Social in the past cited Pakistan and Qatar and other mediators as the reason why he would halt attacks or call for a ceasefire, call for discussions. So just bear that in mind.
Russell should help let us know if we're going to lead or not. I just don't know if it's going to be another oscillation or if we're actually going to be able to find acceptance back up to value high in our weekly VWAP. It should help determine direction. We watch this LVN to see if it'll be a responsive level for the higher low to continue to play off of this volume here on our footprint candle. Or if this will trap and then we have to come back down to fade with Russell. Yeah, NQ, it's not doing anything.
Total rig count 581, 581. Just waiting for the oil rig count data to come through.
We'll know soon here after oil rigs and all that comes out if Russell's going to breach. We're getting a little
oil rig
movement
count
off
unchanged at 445, 445.
And now the rest of the market's just playing catch up, basically, right? So NQ fades as RTY gains a little bit of catch-up momentum, right? Because it's just money coming out of that, going into that with oil rigs. And then that's causing a bit of a mixed signal because we don't have enough pressure on Russell yet to confirm the breach above our VWAP and hold. So we're getting a pullback on ES because NQ was the leader to the upside. And we're not seeing enough follow through yet on Russell to compensate for NQ's sell yet. So ES showed a little bit of weakness there.
We just need to see if this is going to actually be able to hold above, or it's going to do that, like I said, the look above, fail, and then rotation through. I don't know yet. Later, Maker. You follow Vern and Smash? Yeah, Smash is great. Marcini? I don't know if I know that guy. Let me look. Oh, he's bearish. He's very bearish. The action is not tradable in EOS. Hold runner until we get an elevator down. Sell to restart the cycle. 7482. Reclaim was the last entry given live here in a newsletter. My target was 7597. Hit 7999. 7597, 7611, 7624. Well, that's our reversion zone as well. His 11 is my reversion zone target at 12s. And then above that, 24s. Let's see if we've got that marked on our auto. We've got 28s. 24s is the LVN, so that makes sense. So let's see if we get this expansion and hold for that push up at like that 24, 28. Or if we fail, right? And then look for that rotation back down to this node here. Unsure. Yeah, he has some nice write-ups. But it looks like he's waiting for a better pullback. Or he's already long and is holding. I just followed him. Two to 7 day holds on futures is crazy though. Could never. I don't know if I guess you could follow him with like options. That'd be fine.
4 US senators say they've reached an agreement with Trump administration to move Russia sanctions legislation forward.
But I refuse to hold that much leverage that long with options or with futures. We might curl over to find liquidity if we can't do anything more from here until afternoon. There's a lot of potential for that if they don't get us out of here quick. The longer we sit here, the more likely a curl over pattern happens where we need to seek liquidity lower, trap, and before we can go higher. We're still sustaining where we need to, don't get me wrong, but like it's not excited. And usually when we see this kind of like stall out pattern and curling price action at highs, it's usually a seek lower first, come back to known liquidity, then go higher. Basically, there's just like too many participants up here that aren't willing to continue to engage. They're already positioned, and we're not seeing enough like initiative participants to actually push price, and so it kind of just like fizzles out. If you're familiar with Vern, he has a term that I think fits very well for this kind of action. Let me see if I can find it for you. It's called the full wagon theory, right? So like it's the same idea, which is imagine a bandwagon that is rolling forward at a quickened pace. There, I'll put it on screen at the same time. There we go. The nature of the bandwagon is to move forward. Its motionless state is unnatural and therefore cannot last. It tries to move forward again, but it can't. The crowd piled on back is much too large. It must free itself of the heavy burden, and it does. It quickly shifts into reverse and jolts backwards, knocking a few of the party guys off the back. Right, so it's just like we're way too heavy up here, and there's not enough momentum. And until we lighten the load, right, trap some of these guys up here, find new liquidity, it's very likely to curl with the stalling. It's just a way to, it's the same idea, but just, I don't know, Vern's great. Whatever helps you understand the concept, but when we start to curl like this at highs, and we have like a pretty clear case of someone trapped above, and then a new candle opens below, and we're now back to our original bid. It's like, okay, well, how many more times can we do this? Is it going to be able to sustain here? Or do we then put in a lower high and then sweep through this and then eventually need to like come down? Or is this going to be enough, right? Can we see that initial bid start to take over, get full market participation, get through this high, and then do something new? I don't know. Maybe this is enough of a bid here into this low. I would assume that we'll probably need to trap a bit more than what we've shown already, right? Like this isn't really a trap. We have a couple guys offsides at the lows outside of value, but it's nothing insane. I would assume that we need to really try to look below this, fail, and then establish back above, and that'll lead then to an upside move with an initiative buyer that then pushes price. But I don't know. It might take an hour. It might take 5 minutes. All I know is that it's midday. If we can get this bid over 20s, we at least retest highs. Watch this. Yes, is able to hold our pivot. RTY is still just chopping. Needs to sustain above. But there's a real chance for us to stall out if we don't get going soon. Usually lets runners run. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. If you can do it, it's the way. That's why I think options probably would be really good for following him. For day trading, it's more like just balance, right? Most of the time. So it's like fading edges. Whereas like multi-day is almost always going to be upside directional trend, just because that's how the market tends to move.
Syntagram post agreement to hold Russia energy buys accountable.
Yes. That's what I try to stress to people as well, is it's like, it's not, and it's really easy to say that, right? Like, oh, I need to hold runners, right? But it's not easy in practice until you go back and you actually look at the trades that you've taken and you check your MFE, MAE, right? Like that's you need to see how many points you're missing out on average, right? And then be able to form actual parameters that meet your the trades that you're taking. It's one of those things that like journaling really helps with, or just reviewing in general if you don't want to do like the full on journaling, but like you still need to like go look and see what the average excursion is, right? You need to go and look and see like how many points on average am I missing out on the trades that I'm taking, and then you can build your actual profit targeting strategy based off of that. It's the same thing with stops, right? Like if you can see the amount of trades that you've been averagely stopped out on that went favor in the opposite direction, then you can then figure out what your stops should have been for those areas, and then your losers are now winners, right? It's just like, it's one of those things where until you actually take a step back and look at your process and like the things that you continue to do, maybe not intentionally, but unintentional habits, or like those things aren't usually easy to see in the moment and only really stand out upon like reflection. And those are the things that actually are going to make you more profitable almost immediately, because you don't need more edge. You just need to cut out, the things that you actually have control over, which is the most important thing, right? You cut out bad inputs, then you don't have a chance to have a bad output. People are so much, how do I word this? People seek new edge, right? They seek new answers. They seek a new solution, right? They chase solutions to problems that don't exist, or they strategy hop, looking for something new because something didn't work for a couple days, or you're not having a ton of success, but you actually haven't done any of the refinement or gone in and actually like tried to fix any of your own issues. And like without fixing any of that stuff, like it's just going to continue to persist. It's not the strategy's fault. You just like literally haven't done the work. But that's like a tough pill to swallow for most people. But it's like one of the easiest things to improve your overall success, right? Because you don't have to change anything with your strategy or with your trades that are winning, right? It's just about filtering out more of your losers, and the ones that it's filtering out your losers and your break evens, and then also extending your win tail, which is the most important thing, right? Just by refining your MFE, MAA. Because if you can refine like what your average excursion is, like find out like what your average stops are, is there anything like a common denominator, right? That affects both your losing tail and your winning tail on your distribution, because you're going to be able to capture more points and stop out less by just refining what your expectancy for your actual plan is, right? Like it's just refining your strategy and the trades that you take is like the easiest way to increase everything. And then like the single biggest thing for me that helped is just knowing when to fuck off, right? Like that's the most important thing you could do as a trader, is like knowing where you have no edge or you start to spiral out. And for me, usually that's like midday to like, I don't know, 2 p.m. I mean, really to close, to be honest. Like I hate trading afternoons. I make most of my money in the first 2 hours of the day, and then I just like, I don't know, I get bored. The action is lower. It's not as clean, less volatile, right? It's just, there's so many factors. And so it's like, if you can just avoid those time periods where you know you don't perform better, which are easy to find if you're journaling, or if you have some sort of performance review, just like filter it by time of day and you can see where you make your money and where you lose your money, and then just literally avoid that period. Wow, now you've avoided all those bad trades. Like, those are the things that help so much more than trying to find like, oh, this new ICT concept. Like, no, just like work on you. You do that, and I promise you, you'll be 100 times better. Yeah, exactly. Afternoons is where I give it back. Yep. And like, if you're gonna stay, like, you size
France Tasman
down.
News says there was no explosion that occurred in the city of Kemshire or Kemshire regional headquarters of IRGC.
It's like, it's one of those things where like, it makes sense when you think about it, where it's like, why would I be trading the same leverage, the same size, right? And the same risk parameters and the same setups that I'm looking for in the morning when there's twice as much volatility and volume being traded? I need to change what I'm looking for and my expectations. And if I'm still taking the same size on worse trades, right? Because no matter what, if you're trading midday, it's never going to be an A+ setup because it's midday, right? Like, it's always going to be a B setup at max because you don't have the volatility and the actual momentum that you need for day trading to be confident. And so, like, you shouldn't be trading the same size then. And so in the afternoons, there's this, I don't know, I guess like a psychological pull where if you didn't have a good morning, or if you gave back some of your morning profits, you then try to chase or make up for it in the midday or the afternoon. But now you're in a completely different market environment than the morning, but your expectations haven't changed. And so now you're chasing and over trading, trying to make up for things, looking for things to play out almost immediately. And that immediacy isn't there anymore. Right? And that's how you start to give it all back, is because the market state has changed, but your mentality hasn't. And now you're chasing those winners. And understanding that is incredibly important. So like, if you're going to stay, right, instead of sizing up, you should be sizing down and looking for base hits to try to make up for some of those losses. And if you're unable to, have a couple successful base hits, then you should just leave for the day and try again tomorrow when you actually are in, the environment that has your edge. You're much more likely to have success and make up for those lost profits trading in a period that makes sense to you, right, and follows your plan and your strategy and what you're anticipating, than trying to trade in an environment that is absolute dog shit. And again, like, that's one of those things that makes sense after the fact, but in the moment, it's just like, I'm a failure. I need to be at 100% win rate. If I lose, or if I don't meet my expectations, then I'm a failure as a trader and as a person. It's like, no, like, it's part of it. You are doing your job if you're avoiding that, right? Accepting it and then waiting. That is a win, not a loss. This is there's a lot of volume being exchanged up here on NQ. I don't know what's exactly happening, but what's going on with my chart, first of all? Okay, what the hell is this? What did I do? Brother, what? What is this? Okay, I don't know how I did that.
There's a lot of size being taken in up here at this high. We're 50 points up from our average at 30K flat. I'm gonna take off a little. I don't know what's happening. We just made new highs on ES. We're held where we needed to. Russell pushing. But let's see what they do here. We have flipped our absorption, which is incredibly important for our model. I have to delete drawings, sadly, because they no longer fit. We held where we needed to. Beautiful. We found acceptance outside of value at our highs. We're now pushing off of that. Thankfully, we didn't need the reversion fade. We just came back down to our liquidity pocket. We're able to hold and then push. That's phenomenal. I didn't anticipate that. But we're still in our long. I'm very thankful that I didn't have to exit those runners. Again, though, I'm taking off a little more here from our reload, and I'm gonna just let this run now. Let's see how we interact as we push into these guys again. There was just a lot of size that was traded here into this this 40 to 50 on initial test. So I just want to see how we're going to interact here. That's why I got a little spooked off that. Here are our trades for the day. Again, I'm just watching this area up here. I don't really know what's going on up there, so I've taken off a little. But just playing off of our pivot where we found those initial buyers that were willing to break over that absorption that we saw from this morning that led to our downside short into our 30-second opening range. We've had like two pretty clear levels.
Kuntaman News citing local official. A fire breaks out in industrial town in Iran's western province of Loristan.
Right, our initial absorption on the day here flipped off of our short when we played to the downside into our 30-second opening range. We then stopped out on the look back above and then traded the long on the acceptance and played that up and then added to that position on the buyers that were here. And now just playing trend on this continuation up to this upside here.
SK Hynix CEO says memory chip shortage may persist past 2030.
So this is just right, absorption, upper distribution, acceptance outside, sell side showing interest, rotation back to our 30-second opening range, which is this 950 to 910, where we close shorts because we don't have a bias on short side until we flip below our 30-second opening range. It's just a reversion target. We then look to play the flip as soon as we're able to traverse back into this distribution, right? We show interest at our lows on a look back in. So I am now looking to long because we've now shown acceptance back in. And then we take off our initial risk at the high of this range. You can see that here. That's our first risk off. Right, and then we take off secondaries as we show a bit of absorption here, and then look to add to that position, playing off of those buyers that we identified here. And then just using that as our risk to then play up while we wait for the rest of the market to figure out what it wants to do. Nothing crazy. But what a beautiful hold and break. And now we have that shift where I took some profits. You can see that that's now attempting to be supportive. We're building out this node here. And you can see that there was a pretty strong reaction off of that on a hold. Buy side now really trying to defend here. Sweet. All right, well, we did the thing. We flipped our pivot. Held it as supportive. Really nice breakout on the 15 on the look above. Very clear acceptance with our open of our new 15 and then hold of that acceptance for continuation up. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Good right side of V on the flip of our absorption. I was playing NQ, of course, after we saw that those buyers stepping in there off of the flip. Much cleaner, in my opinion, than ES. Really nice retest.
S&P 500 and
up.
Nasdaq 100 index are at session highs.
Just trail it. Took off another on NQ. I'm probably gonna dip if there are no questions or anything. We've now played the full setup. We've played the rotation. You've got your targets here on ES. This is your pivot. Right. Any reversion, you're looking for look below, fail here, where this then would then reclaim, hold the higher low, and then look for rotations up. Failure to sustain here, we look for the lower high on the failure to get back, failure to sorry, let me I'm so tired. Let me show this with a bit better granularity. This is our daily POC to value high, as well as our 1 month historical value high on our overall profile from this balance. So our composite profile, this is also our value high. So this is a genuine breakout if we can hold here on our composite, which is sick. So we want to see now if we can sustain this. We'll be looking for, you know, moves to ideally sustain and push up to our target here at 29s. But if we come down, we want to see a very clear hold of our POC, and then a clear hold and then bid back up, and then play this as our risk. The higher low stops at that invalidation, right? That's your look below and fail. If we aren't able to sustain this move and we do push, we want to see a very clear hold below our value for rotations back down to our value low for a rotation of today's value. This would be your first target here at our value low currently on the day. Until we can flip and sustain below 87s, right? There's nothing really else here. If we can sustain below, though, you're going to be trading through yesterday's auction.
Pakistan's PM Sharif spoke with Iran's President Pezeshkian.
And you're just
So
looking
this has
for
already been
value low
reported
then.
earlier. We'll see what else he said.
Plan is literally right here, right?
So what was said is they agreed to advance bilateral cooperation.
Yeah, I wish I could. I don't know what's going on. I just can't sleep. I don't know. Even when I try, I just like lay there in bed. I just laid there yesterday. I'm getting like 2.5 hours a night right now, this entire week. That's not sustainable. Yeah, it sucks.
Also, Sharif reaffirmed Pakistan's readiness to continue playing its role as an honest and sincere mediator for lasting regional peace.
All right. I mean, it seems like we're good. So I'm just gonna stay in this trade. Nothing else to do, and then I'm gonna dip out before I'm here the whole day. But is there anything else that I need to do? Oh, model was good today, man. NQ trade is still long on the failed breakdown. Previous day low held following our 15-minute strategy on the automated footprint. It's still technically long right now. It'll close end of day. That's how the system works. So that strategy is playing out. Yes, I think is still in it as well. Yeah. failed breakdown, previous day low held, A plus off our strategy, still long. What's up, Julian? The delta absorption? Yeah. You mean the bubbles or the axis? Like, which part? But yes. Yes, it is. But I mean, it's also just like on TradingView. I mean, it's not as accurate, but you can definitely see it, right? Just off of our footprint here. Right, like what are the clear signs of absorption? Effort with no reward, right? So like this is pretty clear absorption here into these highs. A good way is like lots of buy deltas outside of value, right? Value being here to here on this candle with a big wick at the highs, lots of buy side deltas up there. And then very clear reactions off of that area, right? Lack of follow through, lots of effort. And then we can look at our actual volume in that region as well at the time to then base it off of like where you should be looking for that fade. But like that's how you can look for it in a TradingView itself. But in Tradeify or any platform that has like actual historical tick data, yeah, you'd be able to look at it. The Tradeify one, no, it's just a Sethmo. I haven't built anything for Tradeify yet. I've just been working on TradingView, but everything in TradingView I built. Like this is all me. Our automated footprint as well. This is all me. The caveat for TradingView, if you're using these, is that it has tick data for loaded candles that you played live, right? So it has live data for the actual bar information, but not historical. So it'll be like a aggregate on historical, which is why you can't do replay with footprint on, because it's only on the candles that are currently loaded on your chart in your session that are live. So you can use them if you're, actively watching it and seeing the participation per candle. But because there's no historical and it's, on the live data, it's not cached whatsoever. So there's limited backtesting you can do in TradingView with it. But for like individual candles and structure like this, it's pretty good. I mean, I would continue to have a secondary, like a Tradeify or Motive Wave or Quant Tower. One of those platforms is a secondary to be like, does this look good? Are my POCs in similar places? Am I seeing similar deltas, right? Just to get an idea. You're never going to get like lower time frame data that's as accurate though, right? But the aggregate on the higher time frames like 5, 15 are pretty solid on TradingView in my opinion, from the amount of backtesting that I've done. It does a pretty good job with the aggregate. Definitely tradable, right? Like you still have edge, but you're always going to have better data on platforms that, have that tick data. But you can definitely like make money off of what it's giving you here. I mean, this setup alone, this POC hold is just like phenomenal. And then your trend following is just the hold of previous value is supportive on the open of new candle to give you the right side of V, right? So you have like this is, if you needed one model to trade, like this is like a super easy model that you can follow, which is we put a fixed range on a balance like this. And what do we have, right? What is this showing us? We have a participant outside of our value. We have a very clear D profile on this fixed range. So we have a participant trapped outside, and now we watch to see what happens into our lower edge, right? And then we're looking to see if they fade the lower edge as well. We look to see where we close, right? We close at POC. We then show acceptance outside. And then this candle opening here at our value high above this absorption outside of that value is a great way to then look for that continuation, right? Because we've now shown acceptance outside of this, this balance by holding here and having this POC in the low, right? So most of our demand was bought at the lows and not at the highs. So we know we have this shift above these guys. Like that's such a good setup for continuation. Right, and this is a setup in itself as well. This is a very clear like value rotation. So failure to establish outside of our balance, we look for a rotation through our auction to the other side. And this can be an easy trade as well, where then this is your risk, and then you enter on the reclaim back into value, and you are looking for a rotation through value, and then that's where you take your profits. Failure to establish outside, almost always, I think it's like an 80% chance to then rotate through. Something like that, I don't know. It's just a statistic though, but that's a good way to see it. And then when we like show interest at the lows and don't break down, that's a good sign that buyers have intent. And then we look for the breach and then continuation high with the higher lows, holding value of the previous candle for continuation up. This is like an easy playbook play for breakout of balance, or even like the balance rotation itself, right? Like these two setups can make you all your money. Was the pick the recent setup? What pick? I mean, like here are my trades today, which is what we just talked about. Which is this setup, right? This is the continuation model that I just talked about, but with order flow to back it up. Right, we had our absorption in the morning. We played this short down to the 30-second opening range. We then got back into this auction. And again, if we get back into an auction, I expect then a rotation through the auction. So I then played it up to this high. We then saw big buyers step in. I then used that level to then play and then continue us up. Right, it's just, it's this area here from our previous absorption, now supportive on the look over. So yeah, I guess it's recent.
Bronze Tasnim News says fire at small refinery in Podolkta. Firefighter struggling to reach blaze due to its intensity.
Same thing on ES, but it's just like we spotted the absorption pretty early on in the day. You can see like how much effort was here on our volume profile, how much volume was traded, but not a lot of movement. PVZ called the value rotation on retest. So we trapped outside of value on PVZ. We then retested POC, held our value edge, and then rotated through value to the other side. And then we continued to maintain that value high as resistance with these guys offsides. So very clear range then, where this is our area where we're looking for price to accept outside of, right? We can see like they continue to just fail to push above this PVZ and sustain. So you just get like pretty nice shorts once you see that like this guy's outside of value, offsides above, right? And that we're unable to retest him and then we just like offer back. We continue to fade it in the morning. Failure, push down, come back up to our edge, reject, failure, push down, and then we bounced our reversion zone. This is our first sign of potential strength. And then it's the reclaim and support of our VWAP here, as well as a reclaim of our PVZ zone, which is telling you that we're back into this previous auction, right? But it's expanded. So now you have a new market state with our reversion zone holding, recovery of our PVZ and VWAP, so supported bid stepping in, and then back to our absorption or value high. And then that's the model again, where you just trade it as balance. And then a failure to get back below, but a sustain here means that we have buy side potential because buyers are willing to buy not at the low, right? They're moving the auction up. They're now buying POC to value high. What is that telling us? Well, they think that things are cheap. If they're not waiting for price to come all the way down here, and now we have participants who are willing to bid up into these highs, that's because they think we're going to expand, right? So a full rotation to our lows, an active buyer stepping in, right? Pushing us up, and then trying to build into that previous absorption is what we wanted to see, which is what we did, right? We ate through that supply, and then we're able to finally show acceptance outside, right? Held our lows, secondary bid, step up, push to our reversion zone again, retest our absorption high here. And now we've got some decent continuation with full market participation, right? That's our acceptance outside of our absorption high from PVZ. Really good PVZ day. And our low was just our Globex POC recovery. The thing that matters the most on ES though, that we talked about a lot, is this news candle low was just yesterday's value low, right? So when we got that news from Trump this morning, we did a full rotation of our lows and then immediately bid it up. So that's telling us that there's still some pretty active participants and that we should then be looking for acceptance back over yesterday's POC, and that this is our low, right? And that we're going to be then, it just showed us that there's still active buying that's happening here in acceptance of this value. And now we've recovered this POC, right? And now we're looking for expansion upwards like that. So then this became our clear pivot on the day, just like we have on chart. Off we saw this acceptance, and then it's just balance until we show our that we're capable of looking above our value high and holding, which is what we did. Right? Just hold of yesterday's value, acceptance, push. All right, I'm out of here. Good little review end of day. Here are our levels. Charts are posted in chat for follow through into the afternoon if we're gonna get it. But Russell just did its full rotation into PVZ, lost some momentum. Probably comes back down to VWAP before the next leg, I would assume. You guys have a good night. I will see you on Monday. Peace.